Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning and good afternoon to the majority out there. It is the Earthmaster back at it on this Wednesday. I was going to say Thursday, but Wednesday, May 31st. Last day of May. Goodness, we got June coming around tomorrow. Almost halfway through this year. It is about 12:38 p.m. here along the West Coast in the state of California. Latest activity looks like a 1.1 down into the area of Southern California. Let's go ahead and jump in there real quick first. See what we got going on there today in the state of California and southern part. A little bit of movement here around the Los Angeles area. The greater region, I mean, I look at the map and I pretty much see this whole area as Los Angeles, even though I know there's many different cities here, right? Obviously. A couple twos kicking up here overnight early this morning. Including a 1.5, the latest quake here near Huntington Park, out there in the concrete jungles of the LA area. Also some movement offshore and a little bit of microquake activity today. A glance at the 2.5 map and above only shows, looks like some earthquake activity from yesterday. We did see a 3.6 well offshore yesterday afternoon out on the fault system out here, the Malibu Coast fault. Today, though, a little bit microquake activity kicking up. Not a whole lot going on up through the Bay Area, Northern California. About the same as what we've seen yesterday. A little bit of further movement up here into Northern Cal around the southern end of the Cascadia. Of course, we do have the ongoing tremor event here. Let me show you guys the tremor event from yesterday. This is not today's events. This is from yesterday. They do a total tally here about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or so. When they put out this updated info. But 452 epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia from yesterday, mainly into Northern California and extreme southwestern Oregon here. And of course that will contribute to some earthquake activity upstream from the tremor, and of course, as always, building up the next strain for the next big earthquake out here. So far, nothing big going on, but still, I've always been one to worry about these large tremor events triggering the big one out here along the Cascadia. Pacific Northwest, not really showing anything. I kind of find that hard to believe. Not even a blip. So what I want to do is double check some of these volcanoes up here. We'll check out Mount St. Helens, and we'll check out one of these seismograph stations. Just kind of see what's going on. I don't like it when things go quiet on the USGS map. That's normally a sign of nothing working, such as this seismograph station from today. Let me see if yesterday's not even working. What's going on here? Normally, a couple of these stations will be working, but wow, goodness, okay. Not for sure what's going on with their network. Maybe that's why nothing's being reported, is because all their networks are offline. I'm not going to go through here and check all the thousands of seismographs that are up there, but the ones I normally use are offline, so we'll get back to that a little bit later tonight. 2.3 early this morning, just after midnight, into the Wyoming area. That's Yellowstone National Park. So let me double check here and see what's going on here across Yellowstone. That was early this morning again. Let's see here. And that was a what? 2.3? Yeah, 2.3 northern edge here of the Yellowstone region at looks like just after midnight. Maybe it's going to be this one right here just after midnight. Yep. Little bitty earthquake, little speck of an earthquake. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot of earthquake activity happening around the Yellowstone area for now. The rest of the country, some movement out in Texas, Oklahoma, and one earthquake out here in the New Madrid seismic zone from early this morning on 1.6. This has been an ongoing little deal here. Nothing big, just a little amount of small earthquake activity here over the past week. The last 30 days will probably show a little few more numbers out here. As you can see, about 34 earthquakes within the vicinity here of the New Madrid seismic zone. Doesn't mean anything big's happening. It just basically tells us that the fault system is still alive and one day will definitely produce a large earthquake. White Mountains out here. Looks like around New Hampshire, 2.2, 6 kilometers deep. Near Andover, it looks like, around the White Mountains. The Puerto Rico area here looks a little bit more tapered off today. The latest one shows a 3.9 over here around the Mona Passage area. 115 kilometers deep into that area of the Caribbean plate. The Middle America Trench here showing some 4s. This is from yesterday, though. Latest quake at 2.7 down into the South America region, into the Chile area down here. Now, nothing showing up here from the USGS map because they are reporting only, for the most part, 4.5 and above is what their levels are. But there is some activity taking place here, it looks like, this morning in the small microquake range. So most of the activity here last night, following the 6.3, looks like somebody upgraded it. Is that the USGS or, let's see here. Well, yeah, USGS upgraded that earthquake from last night. Was a 6.2, upgraded to 6.3 with the defaulted depth that was at 0 back to 9.8 kilometers. So I knew that was going to change. People were wondering why this was at 0 kilometers. You know, is there a volcano right at the sea level? But most of the time, late at night like that, the geologist in charge or whoever it is may just give a quick glance, put out the magnitude and say, okay, this looks good, and then put it to the earthquake catalog book. After further review, it looks like this morning they did update the magnitude and also the depth of the earthquake down there, close to 10 kilometers below the surface for that 6.3. Still waiting for some further adjustment up here across New Zealand. Now, the majority of the momentum and pressure looks as though it has shifted somewhat up here across the northern edge of the plate boundary here. I'm going to see this area right here, right around the Eurasia plate. Actually, within this whole cluster of plate areas. As you can see here, there's many different regions of plates kind of getting crunched there today around the Philippines southward. But that's been an ongoing thing here, specifically within this area. Quite a few threes there today. Did have a little bit of further movement up north here around the Sumatra area and up into the Myanmar area. It looks like just outside of that region. But no, I don't think we've had any adjustment here across New Zealand. Let's go ahead and check the GeoNet servers out here real quick. We'll just refresh this earthquake drum page that they have. I like it. It's kind of cool, neatly laid out. You can see all the drums and their position there on the maps here. The red dot indicating where the seismograph stations are located. There's a little bit of activity from yesterday. Now the 6.3 is going to be this earthquake right here that we see just barely showing up on some of the stations. Of course, as you get further south, closer to the epicenter of the tremor or of the earthquake, it'll look more prominent. And of course, that's what's going on here across this reading and across this area. And it doesn't look like we've seen any major adjustment there at New Zealand. Really, no uptick, no seismograph activity that I can see here noteworthy of chatting about. Volcano drums should probably show roughly the same. Taupo supervolcano, pretty quiet. There's that little blip of a distant earthquake there, the 6.3 from last night. Actually, no, it's not. This is what is this? Hold on a second here. That wouldn't be the 6.3. That would be this one right here, a little bitty one. That's the 6.3. This here, what is that? Definitely showing up here around North Island. Let me see here real quick. How come we didn't see it here on the earthquake drums? That may be it right here, just barely visible. Around North Island, there's that little blip as well. I don't see any prominent signature out here that would indicate that it's a local earthquake, but it did show up. See the size, it's going to be this one right here. I'm not for sure what that is. Really nothing nearby. It had to have been in the last couple hours, it looks like. So, I don't know. A weird, ghostly signature out there. Could be who knows what. I don't think we've seen that show up in Yellowstone, did we? A lot of times these weird earthquakes will show up across the area. I wonder if... Now that kind of looks like it's it right here, right? 531. Maybe. That's weird. Okay. I'll have to look into this a little bit later and see what that is. We didn't have any major earthquakes over the time period, did we? Let me see here. Largest. There's a 6.3 from last night. 5.8 in the Myanmar area that I pointed out up here. A little bit of movement working its way up north of the Java Trench. But let's see here. A couple hours ago, maybe this one here. I don't know though. 5.5 is not going to show up at these stations here, thousands of miles away. It's just a little odd earthquake. So I don't know. Kind of fishy. All right, let's get back here to the data. I'll look on that a little bit more throughout the day today. Hawaii lighting up again. Look at that. Whoa, goodness. That's quite the uptick. 40 earthquakes here over the last 24 hours, but I'm sure the majority of that was this morning, it looks like, because I know last night it was a lot calmer. So let's see what we have going on here for the Kilauea Volcano area. I'm going to check out these seismograph stations here myself. Not that I don't trust the USGS, but their data system sometimes is not accurate. So here's the earthquake activity there at one of the seismograph stations around the Kilauea Volcano. Definitely very active this morning and late last night. A lot more so than yesterday. So they're saying about 40 earthquakes. There's probably a little bit more than that listed up here on the map. Let's see what we got here for the latest notification system, if they put it out from the HVO. Kilauea Daily Update. This was put out recently. Currently not erupting. Current seismicity in the volcano summit is exhibiting signs of heightened unrest. Summit seismicity remains elevated. No unusual activity across the rift zones. No lava has been observed. Inflationary tilt and elevated seismicity continue, of course. Daily rates have been variable, but everything's still above, beyond the observations preceding the January 5th summit eruption. 93 earthquakes were located beneath the summit, with an increase in numbers overnight. So that's what we're seeing there on the map. Most of the earthquakes have been smaller than 2.0. But goodness, looking at that, looking at this map here, though, I think this thing's getting ready to key back up again. It's building below, that's for sure. That's what we've been seeing here. Inflationary tilt at the Kilauea area. Large earthquake activity. Well, not large, but numerous earthquakes here over the last 30 days. We're talking about 466. And that's just the ones that are, being counted. I'm sure there's probably more than that. So things are getting ready, folks. I think they're getting really close to showing some lava at the surface. Magma right now below. Lava will be the eruptive stage. Definitely continue to watch that. Let's see here. Where was that super deep earthquake Missy Mimi was telling me about? Let me look on the globe here. I think it was this 3.8. Kermadec Trench, 600 kilometers deep. That's a really deep one there. A little bit of deep activity along the Tonga Trench as well, a little bit further up north. So yeah, New Zealand bouncing back and forth here in between the activity. Of course, that 6.3 last night west of the Auckland Islands area, New Zealand, but specifically along this plate boundary, it's been fairly quiet. You got all this activity up north, larger movement down south now. Just keep this area in mind for the folks in New Zealand for some further activity. It's quiet now. It's very quiet, unusually quiet. And that's a good time to be prepared, folks. Deeper movement all around you guys. Just heads up in that area. All right, further up north into the Japan region. Got 4.4 from yesterday. We don't have anything else going on here today. Let me see. Doesn't look like it, aside from that 5.5 into the extreme edge of the Aleutian Trench and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. This little bend up here in the plate boundary, as you can see, it's well defined, very well defined. This is a subduction zone here. Actually, subduction zones on all of this. Activity in the corner right here could be indicative of some regional pressure for sure within these zones. 5.5, 10 kilometers deep. Continue to watch the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. It's a major accumulator of stress buildup here. Just on average 83 mm per year. It's been a while since we've seen any larger scale movement, and this earthquake activity can be rather large when it takes place. Into the Alaska area, mostly smaller microquakes, not a whole lot above 2.5. We got, looks like a couple out here along the Aleutian Trench early this morning, but aside from that, mostly smaller microquakes up into the Alaska area. I know we did kind of a zigzag of a tic-tac-toe type pattern here on the board. I was just trying to cover a couple areas of interest. Let's see what we got further west. There's a Myanmar earthquake, some movement from last night. Nothing going on here today. I'm sure there is, but just on the smaller side. Turkey area, got some 2s and 3s. The 3.2, the latest coming in there on the globe. Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, got one earthquake down here. South Sandwich Trench, 4.9. This has been bouncing back and forth here as well. 46 kilometers deep over the past 30 days here. Somewhat elevated movement across the subduction zone here of the South Sandwich Trench. 23 earthquakes, at least the ones that are being reported and recorded. Looks like the largest, though, going to be that 5.5 from a couple days ago. But definitely, you know, showing some seismic elevated activity here across the region. All right, let's check out space weather activity, see what we got going on here today. We were watching this chart here, this graph, gradually rise up towards the M-flare category. It has since tapered off slightly. A little bit of M-flare activity overnight, couple low-grade M-flares reaching there into the category. And looks like we have a 3315 joining the complex sunspot category here. Magnetic structure, beta gamma delta class. It's going to be 3315. Notice a bunch of different areas here of magnetic structure. It does harbor a potential for some X-flare probability. A look here at the latest update still shows a fairly complex structure, and this sunspot here, which is going to be, well, that is 3315. Looks like 3319 has grown too. So both of these sunspots are noteworthy to watch, although 3315 over here is getting ready to exit the building, so to speak, but still could be geo-effective with flaring if we get any significant flares from that sunspot. Another region I'm watching pretty closely is this one right here. This was flaring last night. I don't think it's been named yet. Doesn't look like it. Could be, not for sure which one it's going to be here. Hold on just a second. Let me check something here real quick. Okay. Thought I heard my dog bark, but maybe I didn't. So we'll continue to watch this one on the eastern limb. That actually looks fairly complex here. A lot of mixing of the colors. That'll be noteworthy to watch here once it's a little bit more visible. The UV filter array here showing, well, that sunspot I was just chatting about flaring currently. Is this a updated image? Let me double check, make sure. Yes, it is. So this is still flaring. This has kind of had a permanent flare last night. Looks like it's been off and on this morning and currently right now as well. So we'll get a better perspective of that once that reaches further onto the visible disk of the sun. Right now, 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 50, 10% chance for an X flare, 10% chance for a proton event due to the elevated energy out here on the sun. With the numerous sunspots, SFI at 162, not super high, but it's moderate. Aurora forecast looks like potentially maybe on the June 2nd time frame we could get a little bit of storming coming on from these coronal holes that are currently facing Earth. They're not directly lined up with Earth, but we could get a little bit of the effects of that high-speed solar wind around the 2nd here. Aurora forecast right now, not a whole lot going on there across the region. Very minimal conditions there. Storm Prediction Center today. Here's the current day 1 outlook. Looks like a slight risk of severe weather and a 5% chance for tornado probability. Looks like around Tucumcari, New Mexico, Clovis, New Mexico. All the storm chasers are headed out there to catch a dusty tornado. Well, I can't really say dusty because they've had lots of rain out there in this area of New Mexico. Probably beautiful, nice and green out there in the desert. There is a hatched area for both wind and hail, some large hail potential, and of course a 5% chance for tornado probability within that hatched area, the dotted line. The rest of the country looks fairly minimal for severe weather, but thunderstorm activity, of course, is prominent across a good area of the United States here. Quite a bit. All right, folks, have a good one. We will catch you guys back out here a little bit later tonight. Got a somewhat busy day. Have a good one and stay safe out there. Take care, folks.